absent. Any visitors, make sure you please sign in. Can I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Can I have the scouts please help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Say your name.
I am Nick. I'm Camden.
Hi guys, welcome.
Scale salute. Or hand over your heart if you don't need it. Go ahead, start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so tonight's President's Report, just a quick update for everybody in the room, but more so for maybe people watching or that will watch. First, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's joined these community connection nights. Just to inform the community about what the operational referendum really is, what it isn't, why it's necessary. The boots on the ground that's been happening for the last month has been really impressive. And I think I was just reflecting on it today. One, the community support to invite us into their businesses and their meetings and give us time. And I feel like no matter what happens and what the outcome is of April 1st, I think one of the things that I really appreciate is some of the support that we've heard about reaching out to state legislators about educational funding. So right now, like in past referendums, there's been a big push about the why. I think more than ever, there's been a strong push of education. So I think that's a really just powerful thing that's happened. And if, again, any community members who are watching and you haven't been able to join us, there's still more coming later on this week, one next week, the 17th, and then March 31st as well. So highly encourage you to just come out. Everybody will answer any questions that you have. I think we've gotten some great questions that have really allowed us to reflect and think about some of our practices as well. So that's been really great. So again, thank you for those of you that have done it or will be doing it. All right, Steve, give us a clerk's report, any election updates or correspondence?
I have a clerk's report.
Oh, Jack, thank you.
Hi. I did.
Okay.
Spring election will take place on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. The candidates running for school board are Ted Gergen and Steve Brown. The referendum. There will also be a referendum question on the ballot. The question will appear on the ballot as follows. Shall the Salem School District, Kenosha County, Wisconsin, be authorized to exceed the revenue limit specified in Section 121.91 Wisconsin statutes by $2 million per year for 3 years, beginning with the 2025-2026 school year and ending with the 2027-2028 school year, for non-recurring purposes consisting of ongoing operational expenses, including educational programming. An explanation. The referendum election ballot will ask the electors to vote yes or no on the referendum election question as set forth above. A yes vote on the question is a vote to authorize the Salem School District budget to exceed the revenue limit specified in Section 121.91 Wisconsin statutes by $2 million per year for 3 years, beginning the 2025-2026 school year and ending with the 2027-2028 school year, for non-reoccurring purposes consisting of ongoing operational expenses, including educational programming. A no vote on the question is a vote to deny the Salem School District the authority to exceed the revenue limit specified in Section 121.91 Wisconsin statutes by $2 million per year for 3 years, beginning with the 2025-2026 school year and ending with the 2027-2028 school year for non-recurring purposes consisting of ongoing operational expenses, including educational program. Respectfully submitted, Deputy Clerk Jack Nicola.
Thank you, Jack. Any correspondence at all?
I have no correspondence in front of me.
All right, thank you.
Do you have a CISA 2 update though?
Yep. Steve, any CISA updates?
Just a few things. I was at the CC2 Border Control last week, and at that meeting we talked, we got an update on the financials for CC2, and so everything is in good order. Also, a recent email from the Executive Director, Dan Hanlon, coming from the law firm for CC2, talking about how the federal government is starting here in Wisconsin to be sending ICE officers into public schools. And so that was discussed in terms of individuals who may be in the country illegally, not having papers, and then also an update on overall legislation. And I'm sure that Nicole Haas will give an update on any of that. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Speaking of Nicole, any WASB updates
Of
and
course.
legislative information?
Look how short it is this time, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, just a quick legislative update. So Evers' budget proposed significant investments into new K-12 education. That's what that's supposed to say. He is proposing to increase the revenue limit to a minimum of $12,400, but that still falls short to create that equity amongst districts where we're trying to get within 10% of each other. But furthermore, because Salem is on the way low end of that, we would still be hundreds of dollars less per student, even if that passed. So AEF, I think, is working to ask for a minimum of at least $12,650. Oh, you don't have my updated one. It's supposed to be $12,400. Okay. But anyway, so that's great, but we're still just going to have a gap there. But also an increase in special education reimbursement from 29 to 60%, which would be incredible. Yeah. So we will still continue to reach out and make phone calls. I did receive a pretty large response from emails that I had sent out myself of people having no idea. I included the map and just said, look at your own district. And I mean, this went all over Wisconsin, and there was a big, just more response rate than I thought there would be of people. I had no idea. I will for sure write in, I will call in. So that was very encouraging. And hopefully it makes a little dent, but we'll see. And then I just wanted to kind of echo what Ted was saying. First, I am so proud of you and your team. You guys, that is a lot of work to plan all these events and communicate and coordinate and show up when, you know, you're working so hard here all the time. I just wanted to make a comment that I've been to a handful of them, and I think 100% of the people that I've talked with are community members. Like, they're not parents, they have no ties to the school. And I think, and we're going from, you know, people that are managing multi-million-dollar businesses coming here to talk about the budget. So they have a really, you know, great financial acumen. We have senior citizens coming from senior centers. And it has just been very eye-opening to listen to their perspective and their experience, because I feel like we kind of get in the habit of only knowing that of people that are involved with the school. I just think it's been a great way to build relationships that are going to stay. I think Ryan actually ended up getting a phone call or an email from someone who really had some strong opinions, and called this person back, and they might end up volunteering at the school. So I just feel like regardless of what happens in April, we're building new relationships, which I just think is so important for the school. So thank you. And then last but not least, this Thursday is the law conference, which should be really interesting. Vicki and I will be going to that, and then March 12th is the day at the Capitol. So that's all I got.
Busy month coming up.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I saw it looked like Ever's proposal was like 20% over the current, right? Like roughly 20% is what?
Yes.
And the vote will happen in July with the biennial budget.
They have to decide by July 1st, but there's already a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
So we just do what we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just unfortunate because we're in the lowest funding bracket. Any decrease in the 12,600 revenue limit still,
A gap that we need
it's a
to,
gap. Yeah. So, but I think there was a lot in there about equalization aid to help offset some just increase in costs. But again, I don't know what's actually going to happen. But it was nice to hear.
sure.
And we're budgeting just right now an extra $325 per student, how it's been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So we haven't changed our budget model based off of this yet, but we're certainly hopeful.
All right, thank you. All right, Nicole, can you share the treasurer's report?
Yes, so I will present the treasurer's report dated January 2024. I'll read the ending balance for each of our accounts. The Community State Bank operating account with a balance of $293,048.57. Our Community State Bank Flex account with a balance of $31,000.18. Petty cash with a balance of $300. LGIP with a balance of $2,042,559.40. WISC with a balance of $3,479,868.33, for a grand cash and investment asset total of $5,846,776.48, and a Fund 10 and 27 asset total of $235,161.13. I'll present the payment of accounts payable bills dated January 1st through January 31st, 2024. This includes paper checks numbered 73071 through 73139, wire transfer checks numbered 2024-00724 through 2024-00875, and ACH checks numbered 2425-00038 to 2425-00045, for a total of $1,317,972.45. All right, Ryan.
Any questions at all on the checks or treasurer's report?
All right, for the revenue this month, you'll notice that overall, it looks like we're behind about 6%. The reason is because if you look at last year in January of 2024, we received a property tax payment of $1.2 million. We received property tax payments this past January. However, we put that first into Fund 39 and not Fund 10. And this is just based off of Fund 10 and 27. So really our revenues, again, we're looking at 10 and 27, we're behind, but that'll be made up over the course of the next 6 months when we receive more property tax aid. And then as far as the expense report, you'll notice because of that third payment, we're now kind of caught up, and our expenses are pretty much in line with what they were last year. We'll be a little bit ahead of salary and benefits just because of how the payroll period kind of goes the rest of this year until basically June. and then we'll be right where we're supposed to be. So that's kind of on our expense end. There was one other comment that was made in one of our comments from the public. They were asking how much of our actual salary and benefits was tied to Fund 10, Fund 27. I did look the last 3 years, it's been right around that 67% mark. It's been pretty consistent all of those years. So I just wanted to clarify that too.
Still curious where that
I don't,
data point.
so I don't know, like the only, I was trying to think about that. I don't know if that person maybe watched like the annual meeting, and basically when I was talking to most of our funding is over 80% comes from equalization aid and property tax. Like I was trying to figure out where that number got kind of looked at too, but
Thanks for looking at that. All right, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
He can take it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion
God's
carries.
Yeah, yes.
We have no public comments this evening, correct? All right. All right, let's talk calendar.
All right, so you have in front of you and in the folder more information. There are two options that we are presenting to the board for your consideration to adopt as our calendar for next year. So first, before I even get started, why we would be adding 5 or 10 minutes to the end of the school day. Already, as it is, there is an average of 5 minutes, anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, sometimes up to 10 minutes, more than that at the beginning of the year, but for the buses to get here. So we're the third tier bus route. So if something happens at Central and they're delayed, it causes Bristol to be delayed, which causes us to be delayed. So we already have a number of students in queue waiting to go outside. So sometimes they're standing in the hall waiting to be released with their, like our 4Kers, just in the hall waiting. And the suggestion actually came from our 4K staff of like, hey, could you consider adding time to the end of the day? That would give us more flexibility. And then we wouldn't be standing here waiting for the buses when they're late. So that concern is, I just want to let you know, that's kind of where this generated from, was just this idea that they're stuck. We can't do it at the beginning of the day because we are the third tier. The buses can't get here any earlier. What option A allows
Just a
it.
quick question about
Please.
that. When is our contract is up next year?
next year's our last year, correct?
And so we don't know if our student would ever bid. I mean, I suppose this could be a part of that conversation about always being the third tier. Like, why is it always?
Are we their largest client too?
We are their largest, the distance would be Central, like they have to cover, but we are, sorry, I didn't.
No, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
So I think largest
You and I had the
client,
same thought process on this one, actually.
yes, but essentially we're third tier because Central's has the earliest time starting school, Bristol's the second, and then we're third, and we're kind of
Always been told what to
always
do.
been told this is what we can do, so.
And if, go ahead.
Be interesting to see how negotiations with this work out next time.
It's just, yeah, I think that,
It would require us morning, the day change to be a different, because they all have a different schedule.
of course,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless for a student or another company puts in a competitive bid.
I did have a company reach out in Illinois that said if I'd be interested in at least listening to them once that came forward, and I said absolutely.
Yeah.
But we'll have to obviously wait a year on that,
Yeah.
but.
I mean, I know this is a solution to a challenge that we have. Yeah. Okay. I was just
I
curious.
have a question. When is the current contract up with the bus company we use now?
So 25, 26, Steve.
Okay,
End of next year.
End of next year.
End of this year, yeah, or next year.
right, okay.
I have more of an internal question. School schedule. Will adding 10 minutes to the end of the day change the daily school schedule? Will it add to each class, or will it just add 10 minutes at the end with the same in-school schedule?
So the way we're kind of drafting the calendar schedule for next year, baking in, at a minimum, we need to bake in the 5 minutes because we have too tight of transitions between lunches and recesses. The teachers are hopeful, they want the added minutes regardless because they're trying to pack in time for just instruction, like all the science of reading, reading time at the end of the day. I talked with second grade about their schedule, and they had said, even a few minutes would help, because as it is, while kids have their backpacks on and they're ready to go, but they're on the carpet trying to get their last few minutes of reading in. So there's this hope that there is going to be some more time. So it's just, at the end of the day, what you guys prefer, the board prefers. So it would be baked in throughout the day.
And I have a question that's personal. Where do the arts fit into the schedule during the day? Middle, beginning, and?
Throughout the whole day.
Throughout the whole day?
Yeah.
So if you were to have, say, a rehearsal at the last hour of the day and you got minutes added, that would give time to put instruments away, the same kind of time that other teachers would get to pack the kids up and get them out. But the ones in my discipline have to put stuff in cases and carry them out to the bus. And those extra minutes would be helpful to give more instruction time.
Yes.
So that, of course, that's where my head is going.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
please
I think
continue.
in general would be, a bonus. You'll also see on both options, there are emergency school closure, more days built in, so there will not be, unless the massive act of crazy, there is either 5 built-in days with option 5, and you have in front of you option B, and I'll get to that in a minute, that's 3 days. The first day of school, there is no flexibility in that. Right now, Wisconsin state statute, we have to start after Labor Day. Thanksgiving break is built in. You can see winter break, the staff resoundingly liked, and families, that full amount of time for the winter break. That was something that they were really excited about. We built in the calendars, both options, that there's a break at least once every month, so to kind of break up the grind a little bit. And you can just see throughout there when the first and last day. So this particular day would end June 3rd. I'm going to move quickly to option B. It's the 10 minutes. The only differences would be where you start to get to the end, where you have field day, 8th grade promotion, the last day. So this is where you would end on May 28th, but it adds 10 minutes to the end of the school day. We did survey staff, and I reached out to families represented of, so 87% of the staff took the survey. And there was quite a few. I want to say it was close to 70 people responded. And I would say the other people who, I can see who did because we asked for comments, would be many of the year people, they don't really have a choice. So they preferred to add the 10 minutes. We had parents and guardians of children in primary, elementary, middle, and children in both Salem and Central. The feedback was mixed, but there was no one who felt strongly one way or the other. So it was in general like, thank you for asking. We'll end up, whatever happens. But you can see some of the comments there. One parent mentioned liked finishing on the 3rd of June rather than the last week of May. They have to figure out childcare. Another one said option B, being earlier she can understand the appeal. Bus riders in the PM, that extra 10 minutes could really make a difference when they get home, how late they get home. Then you had parents who 100% vote for that 10-minute calendar. Increases the instructional time, maybe perhaps even student achievement. Doesn't see really a big difference in swing between the 5 and 10 minutes. There were comments, there's been comments in general wishing they could start before Labor Day. I don't have that choice. And open to whatever. This was someone who has children in both Central and Salem. They just wanted to make sure that they've got spring break at the same time, because those are some of the breaks that break up the year that they were hoping for. So.
Got another one. Summer school. I spent a lot of summer schools here. And we had 3 weeks, we had 4 weeks. Sometimes it was 4 days a week. Sometimes it was 3 days a week if they spread it out. I'm noticing that the 3-week schedule on the 5 minutes and the 4-week schedule on the 10 minutes, would that be a different amount of instruction time for those 4 weeks? Would there be more instruction? Would there be less days during the week? How would that work?
So we would likely have more instructional time, same number of days, but it's an additional week. One of the appeals to the 4 weeks is some of the new legislation with Act 20 and some of the things we're going to have to do to help students who need those reading plans to get completed. At the same time, this does offset some of the concerns about childcare. So while you may need to find childcare at the beginning of the month, there's this interesting, we have a number of families. They go to Salem, but they work as teachers in Illinois. And so the inverse of childcare is what I heard, is their childcare, they can't find it at the end because they've already started. So they're like, if we could just find a way to do, it's tricky for everybody when it comes to this answer. So I gave you a whole long answer to say, it'll be the same number of days. It's just one is 3 weeks, one is 4. And lunch will be provided for the whole community like we are already. So you have a choice to make.
Either on Chicken Nugget Day.
Thoughts?
B seems more reasonable, I think. And if it makes sense of the busing schedule at the time too, I mean, it's kind of a one bird, two stones, or one stone, two birds situation, right? Mm-hmm. So.
Or one seed, two birds, you're feeding two
Sure.
birds with one seed.
Yes.
I mean, I feel compelled to trust the professionals in the school that are, I mean, if 87% are preferring B,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, that's pretty
that
overwhelming.
is pretty much saying like, we could use that time productively for the focus of learning to help our kids. Okay.
So,
The pros.
B it is.
Are you comfortable with that? I mean,
Yeah, like when, at the end of the day, we worked together to provide the options for the staff that we could feel comfortable working within.
so you're at a point like either one would work.
Yes,
You're
yeah,
just-
we're ready to go.
I move to approve option B as a 25-26 school year calendar.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. See how it goes.
Okay.
Action research project.
Yep. And then this should have been in consent agenda. I forgot we did it with our September account because this is something that you don't get to not approve. We just have to make sure it's in there. This is a report we provide for January. It's just an opportunity for us to calculate our student enrollment and then helps us with our funding. It's just, we tell the state, so.
I move to approve the second Friday in January pupil count for the 24-25 school year as presented.
So moved. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We've had a couple, few, feels like many, committee meetings lately. Those updates and reports were linked in the agenda for this evening. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions about
No.
anything in those.
Nope.
And then our next board meeting is March 18th, right here.
Hopefully with some good news.
Hopefully with some good news.
Yes.
It'll be too early for the good news.
I know.
What's good news?
We'll just keep
Well, hopefully good news.
Oh, yeah, done.
April 1st.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. I already thought it was,
I was following.
Little precognition.
yeah. Well, sure would take some good news then too.
Any good news.
Maybe Ryan can lift his arm higher or something, who knows?
And before we adjourn, the board meeting on the 18th, can you refresh my memory why it's not the 4th?
Spring break.
Oh, right, okay, thank you. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I'll be at our board meeting and not CISA, but that's okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting at 6:29.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at 6:29.